Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I am going to talk about theta, but first, let's talk about XLM and get that out of the way, shall we? Look at this. We're getting a little pump here. If we look at the market on this beautiful Saturday, we are actually in the green today. 2%, 4%, 3%, 3%. It's looking good, but look at XLM stands out a little bit, 6%. So I thought I'd talk about it. And then we'll jump into theta. So when you look at XLM, it gives me a sort of flat feeling, right? So what a flat is basically an A, B, and a C. And usually the B wave, which is three waves, 1, 2, 3, takes out the top, makes you believe we're going higher, but in reality, it's faking you out, right? So then what happens is the price comes all the way back down and takes out this low. And that's what we call an expanded flat. And then you get down here and it goes, okay, we came up here, it was a fake out. Now we come all the way back down here. Now it must be going to the downside. We must be breaking down. Why are we breaking down? Because we faked out, obviously, but that's not true. It was a double fake out. So think of a flat like a double fake out. Sometimes they could be triple fake outs, right? We're going to go up. Just kidding. We're going to go down. Just kidding. We're going to go up. Just kidding. We're going to go down. And it just like, what's it doing? And it makes you mad and it upsets you. And it's like, this is unfair, right? But in reality, that's why if you know how to trade it, good for you. You trade it. You trade the volatility up, volatility down, volatility up, volatility down, volatility. You see what I mean? And that's how you can trade it. But most people don't know how to do that. Most people will get wrong-footed. Most people will lose money, and that's fine. Most people aren't traders, and some of the reason why my videos are longer than others is because I like to take you through the thought process of how these waves develop and why they do certain things. Maybe it might add some ammunition to your trading skills. So, but this channel is not a trading call or prediction or anything like that. It is mainly educational, educational slash opinionated slash totally not financial advice, right? So, looking at the price of XLM, we can see it's potentially, right, a flat here. And so we have an A, we have a B, we have a C. And if you want to know more about the terminology, just go to Google, type in Elliott wave flat pattern explanation or something like that, and you'll get some information there. But right now, it's looking pretty good. And the issue here, with all of crypto, right, is what is Bitcoin going to do? That is the main thing. And it's part of the reason I haven't really talked too much about Theta is because Theta looks so incredibly similar. I mean, so does other ones, but very similar to Bitcoin, right? So especially on the smaller time frame. So here's the price of Bitcoin right here. And if I just put theta on, I mean, you can see it's pretty close in regards of wave shape, right? So yeah. Versus something like Q and T, right? It looks a little different, right? Versus something like XRP, kind of similar, but not too much, right? Versus something like Total 3, pretty dang similar, right? So, when I talk about a chart or a coin or whatever, whatever, like let's say I do a Bitcoin video. That Bitcoin video is just as important as doing a theta video, right? If you're, let's say you're a Theta holder and I don't do a Theta video, well, the Bitcoin video is probably more important than Theta, because whatever I say for Bitcoin is probably going to happen with Theta. But here's the catch. When we break above all-time high and we go sort of in that phase, that last ending phase of this run, and sometimes it can happen sooner than that, we get oftentimes a catching up phase. And a lot of times that could happen during consolidation patterns, right? So I'm looking at total 3, and it's looking exceptionally like a correction, some type of broadening wedge pattern. You can see this is a beautiful looking broadening wedge pattern. We broke above this downward resistance line. We test, right? We back test, and now we're continuing to pump up, right? So here's our resistance, and I would say if we can break that resistance, our next resistance would probably be up here, then up here, and then right about there. So, you know, we got some areas we need to break. So basically, if we break this, then we can get here. If we break this, then this, right? It's always if this, then this. So that's what I would say here. And now the question is, well, are we going to do it, right? Anybody can put up lines and say, well, if we break this, then we get this. Well, obviously, right? You know, I said before, I watched a few YouTube videos. Just type in Bitcoin technical analysis on YouTube, and you know they pretty much say the same thing. So I'm like, well, how am I going to add any different value than that? Because they're right in a sense where you don't really know what it's going to do. But that's why you come to a conclusion of what you believe. And what I believe is that this is nothing more than a bullish correction. And the reason why I think that is, number one, we have Bitcoin at an all-time high, creating that flat pattern that we've seen so many times before, right? And I mean only 2 times. So the last 2 times we broke above the all-time high, we created a flat pattern. And Bitcoin sometimes it took 30 days. Like one time it took 30 days. The other time it took 6 months. So yeah, it shall be interesting with that. But I think it's in a correction because this looks corrective to me. It doesn't look like it's ending with crazy volatility and then you come down like this. It looks more overlapping, right? It looks like, you know, a bull flag or broadening wedge, whatever you want to say. But for me, I would say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. Now we're getting 4. Maybe 4 comes down like this, then we get 5, right? So there's a different ways wave 4s can happen. Wave 4s are very brutal sometimes. They can be. So we'll have to see what wave 4 brings us. But so far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 waves. So you can say that's an A. So if it's a letter, it's a correction. If it's a number, it's an impulse, right? Fair enough. So we have 5 down, so that's A. We have 1, 2, and now it looks like we're starting 3. So if this is going to turn into 3, then you would say that's B, right? I mean, obviously, so 5 waves is wave A, 3 waves in wave B, if that's what it's going to be. So this might be all we get right here, which is 5 waves to the downside, or better yet, some kind of diagonal. Basically, you would say this is your A. 3, that's your A. B, and then C. So this is your A, B, C, right? And then that would mean that this is a 1, 2, and now we're going into 3, right? 4, 5. Doesn't mean it goes in a straight line. It can do something like this and do some crazy things, right? But essentially it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are the two options on the table, right? And you say, well, wait a minute. I thought we were talking about XLM. I thought we were talking about theta. Yeah, we were. But this is more important. And the reason why is because this includes theta. This includes XLM. This is the total market cap of all of crypto, except for, the two big guys. So we'll talk about XLM now, but I just wanted to bring out this first to set the stage here. We can see, like I said, this is either an A, B, C, and now we're ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or this is an A, all of this is B, and now we're getting C. So then when you zoom out, it becomes much bigger, right? So then you would have 1, 2, right? That's your first wave. Then your second wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's wave 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't look at my drawing. It's terrible, but it's okay because you get what I'm saying. 1, 2, 3, and now we're in 4, and then we go for 5. So at the end of the day, we're in a wave 4 correction. And like I said, it can happen. The big thing is the B wave, right? So is this a B wave or is this a 1, 2, right? So that's the big thing we have to figure out. So, is this a 1, 2, and now we're getting 3, or is this an A, B, and now we're getting C in the B wave? So, only time will tell. I don't have the answer for you, but what I can tell you is that what I've talked about in the previous Bitcoin video, I would be looking for if in fact this thing is this correction, this flat pattern, that's what it looks like, right? A, B, C, right? So basically, this video. So yeah, this video I put out was about 2 days ago, just explaining a couple ideas. One of the ideas was at the time we were at 66.4. We got all the way back up to this high right here, and then we start to bull flag down. So looking at the live chart, right, we were at 64, way down 64 and some change. We continued higher. We hit this resistance, right? So I put out the video here suggesting that we continue higher, which we did. And then once we got there, we start to bull flag out, which we did. And now we're starting to pump up, which we're doing now, right? So I didn't know for sure that was going to happen, but basically, that's what usually happens after you get, this sort of 5-wave move down and you get a 1, 2 or an A, B, C, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or A, B, C and then down. So the question is, what happens there? That's the big question, because at this point, you're going to be in the retracement levels, right? You're going to be in the retracement levels. So we'll find out. So yeah, so far so good. Everything I've been saying is, sort of on track. Another thing too, right? We have this shoulder, we come down for a head, we have another shoulder, sort of a slanted neckline. I'd like to break this neckline, come up here, come back down, back test the top. That would be a cool 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And then we can continue moving on up. If it's an impulse. If it's a correction, then we just get 3 and then come back down either for reaccumulation, sideways, then go, or for a C leg, which is be an A, B, C, then go. So we have 3 different routes, right? A couple different routes. The point is the destination, right? So yeah, so going back to total 3, same type of deal here. Actually, total 3 looks better, honestly, than Bitcoin does. I mean, if you sort of look at, put it here and here, yeah, you don't really have a clear neckline for the inverse head and shoulders, but that's okay. Let's do a measurement here from the bodies to the top of the neckline. Let's say we break out. Today's Saturday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is really when it sets the stage, and that gets us above the all-time high. I mean, above the swing high back over here. So the all-time high, let's go to bigger time frame. So we're still not even close to the all-time high. The all-time high is sitting at $1.13 trillion, right? And we're sitting at $720 billion. So we have approximately we have another $408 billion. So essentially the altcoins need, without counting Bitcoin, without counting Ethereum, all the altcoins need $400+ billion. So where's that money going to go? It's not going to go to Ethereum because that doesn't count, right? It's not going to go to it's not going to go to Bitcoin, right? So it'll probably go to XRP. And I'm just kidding. It'll probably go through a lot of coins that haven't moved up completely from their range, and back down in here. So depending where they're at, a lot of them are barely breaking out. They're sort of coiling up here, like Theta Fuel is a good example. So let's look at Theta Fuel real quick. So you could see here's your range right here, right? You break the range and you sort of consolidate here. So some of that, we broke the range, we're back testing it, consolidating above it, just like the Wyckoff accumulation example. Once that's complete, we start moving on up. So some of that money, Theta Fuel, it'll be spread around, obviously. So yeah, $400 billion left. Let me just go to the bank and get this thing at the all-time high. Wouldn't that be nice? So we have, it's Saturday. We're allowed to have some fun, right? At the end of the day, the problem here is we haven't tested the bull market support band. So if this thing wants to get real nasty, then, obviously the bull market support band every week or so, it's continually moving up, right? So if we just sort of project where it's going to go, something like this, right? And let's say we continue to correct into the bull market. That gives us somewhere around April, right? If that's the case, if it's going to be some bigger, here's your flagpole, here's your flag, right? Some type of weekly bull flag that gets to test the bull market support band. As it comes down, it starts to flatten out, right? And then it actually starts to do this. So you kind of want to test the bull market support band as it's flat, not ascending so rapidly. So as it comes down, actually, let me draw that better. As it comes down, it's going to start to level off like this. I think that's a little better. And then you meet up with it, right, as it's more flat. So this is a scenario that could totally happen. And if it does happen, that would be actually very good. I mean, it would suck for the next month or a few weeks, but hey, it's actually very healthy, because when you zoom out and you look at the big picture, it looks like nothing. It's nothing, right? So if I just take, a simple bars pattern to give us a visual representation of what that could look like, I'll put that right there. Something like that, right? Maybe right about there. And honestly, that's not really deep. I would think it would be a little deeper than that. But hey, we come up here, we flatten out, we sort of, kiss it a little bit. We test, 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 which allows that would be like the best possible thing that could happen, because that would give plenty of time for you to correct. Because look at this move here. This was a major move. This move was what? I'll come down here and I'll go all the way up to here. That move was an 80% move. That was a $350 billion move, or 80%. And how did that move fare? How did that move come about? Well, that move only was brought to reality because of this. This was the key to unlock this. And if that's the case, then you're going to want another key here to unlock more treasures, right? So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, it doesn't have to correct like that. But honestly, this is only our second week of correcting. So approximately 14 days, right? Actually, let me get it on the weekly here. Yeah, so we got 2 weeks here. So if I bring it on the back on the daily chart, on the daily, it looks clean, it looks nice. But just to show you here, let me go back over here. So when we had this move to the downside, boom, 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 we came up. So the question was this a 1, 2, and now we're going to get 3, 4, 5? Actually, it wasn't. Actually, it turned into an A, B, and a C. So a 1, 2, 3, a three-wave move. And then back down, which ended up being what? An A, B, C. So the market likes to move in threes and fives and threes, right? Fives and threes. So we had a three-wave shape. Anytime you have, not financial advice, but anytime you have a nice, beautiful impulse, uptrend, what have you, and you get a 1, 2, 3, a three-wave corrective pullback, you long that sucker all day long, right? That's if you want to buy the dip. So most people, right, the term, the famous term, everybody says, buy the dip, buy the dip. Well, wait a minute. Most people don't buy the right dip, right? So when you come down, and you should never do that, but you should always, not financial. Nothing I say is not as financial advice, but you should dollar cost average when you're buying a correction. But still, most people, you come up, right, and you come down, and you go, okay, I'm gonna buy the dip, and then you go up, and you go, yay, I feel like a winner, and then it comes all the way back down. It takes out the low, and you go, wait a minute, I feel like a loser. Well, that's because it was an ABC, right? So can't say what to do, but most of the time you want to buy that second dip, right? You want to wait to see, but the proper thing to do would be to dollar cost average here, because you don't know if this is going to continue ripping or if it's going to go down into a C leg, then continue ripping. Chances are it does this, right? So now going back over here, does that happen again? So let's say you bought the dip here. Well, that's great, because this can turn in and continue going. If you didn't, maybe you have this three-wave move, then you come back down, right? You take out the low, then you buy the dip, then you go. And that would be a nice trade, right? So anyway, so that's total 3. looking for either, like I said, an ABC, meet up with the bull market support band, continue to go. Or this is some type of bull flag, we're breaking out and we're going to continue grinding higher. This route and this route are pointing in the same direction, right? So they're both pointing in the same direction, which is up, that's what really matters. So which route it's going to take, it's almost impossible to know because you are getting into those retracement levels. We got to figure out how it reacts in here because, again, you get up to this resistance, right? Do you break it or do you find resistance, you come down? So that is yet to be seen. So sometimes you got to stand back and let the market prove itself. Okay, so let's get back to XLM. And it's the same thing, right, with XLM. But to me, XLM looks good because it already has sort of that three-wave shape. You know, it has in the form of a flat. So instead of an A, B, C like this, it was an A, B was a fake out. Then it comes down for C like this, right? So these are two different shapes. A three-wave move can take. And right now, based on the XLM chart, you know, to me, it looks like this thing doesn't have to come back up here and then go back down. It totally can. But the probabilities are that this is going to come up where we might go, you know, like a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We build a base in here. Building a base is important, and then continue higher. That's what I would think based off what XLM looks like. And if that's the case, then we can probably expect something similar with Total 3. And Total 3 is just a representation of every altcoin on the planet. Okay, so yeah, that's what I have for XLM. And now we'll move on to Theta. Well, first, actually, let me do a little bit of a bigger analysis here on the daily. So XLM is one of those coins that basically, you know, XRP and XLM is basically brother and sister. So if you don't like the brother, hey, you got the sister. If you don't like the sister, hey, you know, go for the brother. But at the end of the day, I like both of them, right? So, you know, some people don't like XRP, but they go XLM is okay. So if you are one of those people who cannot stand XRP, and I get it, I respect everybody's viewpoints and perspective, I understand. Maybe consider thinking about XLM because when XRP moves, XLM moves too. Think about XRP and XLM like theta fuel and theta. Think about it like that, right? So, you know, the ratio of theta to theta fuel. You know, like I said, a lot of people don't like XRP. They call it a banker coin, and you know, for whatever reason, you know, I'm not going to get into that, but they don't really care for it, and I get it. So, but you know, ask yourself, maybe drop a comment. What do you guys think? Because I really like to genuinely know. You know, and I'm sure a lot of Theta community will watch this video. Um, what is your viewpoint on XLM? Like, if you don't like XRP, what do you think about XLM? Do you think it's in the same camp? Or do you think it's like, if you were to hold one, which one would it be? I'm only saying this because I don't want, and I can't give financial advice, but I don't want people to miss this. Potentially, right? Always potentially. Because when you look at XLM, is already completed what Theta and others are currently doing, right? So I don't have a good chart because it's not fully. So I'll just do this and I'll go down here. So that's the chart. So essentially, what we have, right? for XLM is think about like theta and theta fuel down in here. Now I'm not saying theta fuel or whatever coin that looks like this. So look at theta real quick. You could see it had a rise, a crash, it had a base, and then it breaks out, right? Fair enough. When you look at XLM, it's the same thing. And if you hear kids in the background, that's because there are kids in the background. It is Saturday, so it is what it is. So, yeah, if we have, like for example, theta was here, right? And it broke out, it could technically go into a retracement, right? So, looking back at theta again, right? So this is basically what XLM did on the theta chart. It had a rise, it had a crash, it had this base, it broke out, and then it came all the way back down. Then it went sideways, and now currently XLM is here. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with theta. But what I'm saying is if XLM is already here, then there's a big probability. If XLM is here, there's a good probability that it's already complete. Why? Because it had a rise, it had a crash, it had a retrace, it had reaccumulation. It built a base on top of its base. So this thing is ready. It's ready to go. I'm not saying theta has to do all that. Theta can simply come up, do a little correction through the retracements, then continue higher. No problem. But for me as an investor, I want to position myself in a way where if this continues higher, which I ultimately believe on the macro scale, theta will blow past its all-time high. The question is, does it happen? The timing of when it happens, right? So it's all about when that happens. If XLM is in a better position for that all-time high, because XRP and XLM didn't get this bull run, instead they went into a retracement. So it makes me think that XLM has more of a potential to break its all-time high than theta, statistically speaking, right? So think about theta. This is XLM. Think about theta being right here. Of course, it's going to continue higher. The question is, do we pull back and break out, or do we go all the way back down into reaccumulation? Now, if it does that, it's not going to be this big. It's not going to be that long and big, right? Because, you have to understand XRP had the lawsuit, right, which did damage to the chart and things like that. But essentially, trying to get a better chart here. So basically, if XLM, right, is already in its end accumulation phase, then, there's a better chance for it breaking out. Why? Because it already went through all of this, just like how it did it the last time, where you had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout, right? So if you have the rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, what comes next is the breakout. So that's why I'm very confident in this. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen with Bitcoin. You don't know what's going to happen with the lawsuit and things like that. It might take another year. Who knows? So we'll see about that. But anyways, going back to XLM, and we will get to theta. I'm just trying to explain the difference between a theta chart which is the same chart as like Filecoin. It's the same chart as ADA. It's the same chart as HBAR. It's the same chart as Chainlink. It's the same chart as Ethereum. And it's the same chart as Solana. They're all the same in regards to their phases and where they are, right? And what I mean by that, it's the same chart as Dogecoin. It's the same chart as, let's see, I don't have any more on here I can show. It's the same chart as Engine, right? And it's the same chart as Phantom, right? And what I'm saying when I say it's the same chart, what I'm saying here is this. Let me get back to the chart here. So, XLM is much different, right? But Theta is the same as all those charts I just mentioned. How? Because all of those charts had a proper bull run. Check. They had a bear market. Check. XRP and XLM didn't have a bear market. Why? Because it's been in a bear market this whole time. It's in the end stages of its bear market. It's in reaccumulation, right? So all of those charts I just mentioned, Filecoin, HBAR, Engine, Ethereum, all of them, they all have a bull market, they all have a bear market, they all have a base, and they all are attempting to break the base. So they are all the same. So if that's the case, then I pretty much, you can consider the fact that most of them are going to do what most of them have been doing. So what I don't know as an investor is this a retracement or is this a breakout? If it's a retracement, then we're going to go back down for reaccumulation. We're going to go sideways and then we'll break out. It might take another year, right? Doesn't mean we won't have some fun this year, right? So that's the thing. What I'm trying to say is XLM has already been there, done that. It's already right here. So that's why I'm considering taking, I have a position, but if I'm talking to, a friend of mine, I'm saying, hey, you might want to think about taking a position. If you don't like XRP, I get it. But hey, you don't have to like it to make money, right? The asset shouldn't matter. Like if it's like a meme coin, like Bonk, like really Bonk, BONK, people buy that. And I don't no judgment on any part, right? People buy what they buy. Floki, Pepe. I actually did pretty well in Pepe. Dogecoin, right? I mean, they're all meme coins. It's fun. It's their, I call them viral coins. They go viral. And, people trade them. And that's totally fine. It doesn't matter. So if that's the case, then XRP, XLM shouldn't matter. It's just another coin trading. That shouldn't matter at all. What matters is the chart. The chart is the number one thing for me to decide if it's worthy for investment. So for example, if it's a total S coin with zero utility, but it has the most sexiest chart on the planet, you start to be like, well, who cares if it's dog crap? The point is, will it make me a profit, right? So just comparing the two assets side by side, you can see when XLM was in a retrace, Theta was rampaging to the upside. So you can see they're a cycle behind, right? You can see XLM's bull runs over here. XLM's retracement is over here. You can see Theta's bull run is over here. Maybe Theta's retracement is over here, right? So, psychologically, people want to be in coins that did something unbelievable, right? And I do too. But the difference is, when did it do that? Did it just recently do that? If it did, then it's probably likely that, it goes into a retracement before going into reaccumulation, before going sideways, before going higher. Just like how this went into a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. This is at the finish line. So not to say that theta can't do that as well, but what I'm saying is most of the charts look exactly like, what theta looks like, right? Which is a bull run, a bear market, a base, right? And a continuation to the upside, which means, let's say my portfolio is Theta and Filecoin and that's it. Well, I would rather have, Theta and XRP versus Theta and a chart that looks like Theta. You know what I mean? So it really depends what the chart looks like. And for me, the chart, they all look the same, which means you're probably going to get the same results. So that's all I have to say about that. So going back to XLM, I really think this thing is primed. This thing is primed. Another reason why, right? If you look at a lot of coins, they've already broken through their base, right? So you have to understand too, this base is coming off a retracement. Theta base is coming off a bear market, right? So this is, you have to understand the difference between where, and I'm just using Theta as an example. I'm talking all of crypto. If your coin went into a bull run like this, right? So if I put on Theta, it went into a bull run during this time, right? Then that means whatever pump we get is closer to the prior bull run, right? So, is it coming off a crash or is it coming off reaccumulation, the base? So let me get rid of that. So if I put the base on here, and both coins, this is not to say Theta is going to do bad. I think it's going to do probably the best out of almost any coin. But what I'm saying is, if I already own Theta, then why pick another coin that looks like Theta as far as the chart go? That's what I'm saying. So if you come down here and look at this base right here, you can see Theta has already broken above its base, right? If you look at Theta here, we are pretty high above the base, right? And we're going into we're heading into the retracement levels, right? When you look at XLM, we've already done that. We've already went into the retracement levels. And now we are developing another base. The question that I have is this base going to break out pretty soon? And I think it is. And what happens when it breaks out? Well, it's going to go into a retracement, right? Or it's retracing the retracement. But usually, when this thing breaks out, it's going to, correct, go up, correct. But eventually, I think it has a better chance at breaking out into an new all-time high than any other coin, because of the time it's taken, because of where it is in the phases, right? So, most coins, they have a bull run, they come down, they have a base down here, and then they're all like right here. But XLM, been there, done that. It's already back down and creating another base, right? So anyway, I've probably rambled way too much. So now, I think this is a very bullish chart. We have a 1 2 1 2. We have another 1 2. We have another 1 2. And now we have a 1. And now we're right above the bull market support band. So I think it's looking very, very good. And look at this. Look at this candle. This is the weekly candle, and it's about to end tomorrow. And look at the way it looks. It's a bullish hammer candle. You can see this is the engulfing candle. We come down, we test it, right? We pull back and we test it again. So we've been above it for 3 weeks, above the bull market support band. So you could see the band right down here, very bullish. So I zoom in. Well, first, before I do that, same thing potentially with XRP is that this could be an A, B, and then a C, right? This is D, and now we're getting E, right? Which will result in a big breakout, hopefully. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're contracting. We're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And this is the demand line. This is the supply line. And they're converging. And when they get converged, they get squeezed. And when you squeeze something together, it's going to have a reaction. So it'll react to the upside or it could react to the downside, right? Some people want to play it smart and they'll say, well, I'm just going to wait. If we get that big breakout, I'll just buy the 3-wave pullback and then I'll long it. That's fine. You can, that will be a good strategy to do. If you want to mitigate your risk, right? Obviously less risk, less reward. But a lot of times people will wait until we get through, these areas up here. Let's break out. You buy a 3-wave pullback, right? 1, 2, 3. And then you buy right in here, and then you long it. So, me personally, I've been accumulating all through here because we're at that phase. The phase is telling me reaccumulate, right? Theta's phase is telling me accumulate as well, but be very cautious when we get into the retracement levels. So, that's sort of the difference here. So, anyways, I'll just say one more thing, and I'm just using theta as an example. When I say theta, I'm talking about all the charts that look exactly like theta, which is what I've mentioned, right? So we broke above the downward resistance line, right? We broke above this falling wedge we have here. And usually when you do that, you get back to the top of where the wedge started. So somewhere up here. And if we can do that, then I'm sure we can do a lot more. So if we get back up there, which is a technical pattern, right? When you break out of a falling wedge, the technical target is the top of the wedge. So if that's the case, then if I pull a fib on that, that brings us way above all the retracement levels. And if that's the case, then that means we have a higher probability of breaking the all-time high. And if that's the case, then we have a very high probability of hitting the, well, actually, I take that back. Let me put this on regular scale, and then we can talk about it. Okay, so, yeah, it brings us between the 702 and above the 786. So, yeah, right above those retracement levels. So if that's the case, then we can see $1.50. We can see $2.40. between $2 and $2.40, $3, and $3.80. So those are your Fibonacci targets, right? And then from where we are now, that's a pretty big move. All the way up. It's about 1,000%. If I do a full 4.236, that's about, we'll be conservative. We'll say between we'll say between 1,500% and 2,000. So between 1,500 and 2,000%. So if you go to like theta, right? Let me go to theta. It will also have a big move, right? So I'll do it from the bull market support band. And we'll go up 1,500%. So just to get to 1,500%, that's the all-time high. So that's another thing where you have to take into consideration, is because we have much more percentage potential in theta when it comes to where we are in the chart versus where XLM is. So basically, XLM is closer to the all-time high than theta is, right? Which means, you know, it takes 1,500% just to get to the all-time high. Now, if you wanted to go to 2,000%, that's only $20. And our target is way higher than that for theta, right? So that's another thing. That's why, you know, this video is probably like, well, you're giving all this, you know, you're making theta look bad. You're making XLM look like it's going to whip its butt. Here's the thing. There's two different things, right? Theta, positive, you know, the pros and cons. So for theta, the pros are, well, I'll start with the cons. The cons are that it hasn't done a retrace reaccumulation sideways like XLM, which gives me a better feeling of upside, right? Because where we are. That's it. But the pros are how much theta has gone up. Look at this. Theta has gone up from 3 cents all the way up here. It's gone up, you know, 40,000 plus %, right? Now, if you take it from the bottom down here all the way to the all-time high, that's 2,600%, or we'll just say 2,700%. Okay, so 2,700%. Now, if I go to XLM and I do the exact same thing, I'm going to take it from the bottom down here all the way to the all-time high. That's not even 1,400%. That's a massive difference. So 2,700% versus 1,300%, that's twice as big, right? So if XLM got to the all-time high, you would get 1,400%. If theta got back to the all-time high, you would get 2,700%. So that's what I'm saying. So that's why you kind of want to be diverse, but here's the thing, going back to the pros and cons. The con is, and I'm only using theta as an example, and XLM as an example, right? The difference here is, right, what's more likely to break an all-time high? What's more likely to get to the I would say XLM is more likely to get to the all-time high, not because it's a better coin, not because it has better utility, not because of this, not because of that. That's all bullcrap. The reason why is because it already completed all the phases that would have to. And a great example would be for Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a rise, it had a crash, it had a retrace, then it went down for reaccumulation, it went sideways, and then it broke out. So think about XLM right here, and think about theta back over here. Theta has much more percentage potential to get to here, but XLM has a better chance at getting there. You see what I'm trying to say? I don't know if I'm making myself too clear, but that's basically how I'm trying to explain it. They're both, and that's why I own both. That's why, I want to own both. So, going back to XLM, to get a 4.236 extension, right, is around 2,700%. So basically, XLM would have to get all the way to a 4.236 extension. And all Theta has to do to get that same percentage potential is, and I'm going to do it from where the chart is currently, where it is at now. So 2,700. So what did I say? 2,700%. So it would have to get to $80. So that would be very difficult. But that's where it is now. Most people didn't buy at where it is now. Most people, I would guess, bought down, around $1. So if I go back up to 2,700%, that's about $30. So what I'll do is put the Fibonacci extension, right? And then we'll go from the bull market support band all the way up to that 4.23. That's about 6,000%. So 2,700% versus 6,000%. Now, granted, theta is much higher than that right now. So that's why they kind of even themselves out over time. But the thing is, will theta do that? Will theta get to that 4.236 extension? Will theta break the all-time high? I believe, yes, it will eventually. But the question is, does it go into a retracement, then back down, sideways, then go? XLM's already there, right? But if theta was right here, then it would be the best of both worlds, right? So here's both charts side by side, right here, right? So you have XLM on the bottom, theta on the top, right? You have a bull market, you have a bull market. You have a bear market, you have a bear market. You have a retracement. Question is this a retracement? Well, theta or XLM already did the retracement. And then XLM also went down into reaccumulation, right? So that would mean XLM down here, or theta down there. Then it went sideways, just like this, right? And then we can go, and then we can go. So that's sort of the dilemma we have here. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do exactly that, but it makes you think, something to that effect. Now, it can be a lot smaller, like what Bitcoin did, right? So Bitcoin, it sort of did this, rise, crash, it had a sharp impulse, and then it had this sort of bull flag, and then it continued higher. And then it sort of went into this reaccumulation phase, continue higher. Maybe not that big, right? But something to that effect. So that's the big question. Now, Bitcoin, if Bitcoin breaks above the all-time high, then I would think that this thing continues higher, starts to bull flag out of here, right? We get up here, we bull flag, we start to make a base down in here, and then bam, we go. It won't be as long and dreadful as XLM, but like I've been saying, XRP, XLM have the biggest base in crypto history. Look how big that thing is. That thing is massive. This is going from 2018 to 2024, and this is going from 2020 to to 2024. So, 6 years, 7 years, or 6 years versus 4 years, right? So, yeah, just look at them side by side. Now, this one has more. In order for this to get to the all-time high, has more percentage versus the XLM getting back to its all-time high, back up to here. So that's another thing you got to kind of understand too. Right? So anyways, that's me trying to explain it. Anyways, let's go back and we'll talk about theta. I did not want it to be this long, but it is what it is. We have a range. We broke out of it, right? We broke out of the range. And for me, on the weekly chart, either we come all the way back down and we back test the top of the range, 1 2 1 2, we retest the bull market support band, then we continue higher. That would be incredibly bullish, right? That would be option number 1. Option number 2 is we continue consolidating here, continue pumping up. So now we'll zoom in and we'll talk about that. Yeah, on the daily, it looks pretty bullish at the moment for some upside. We have this sort of broadening wedge pattern, right? So let me zoom in again. And then we also have what I would like to see for theta is to break above this line. If we could break above that black line, then I think we would be in pretty good shape, right? Like if you look at XLM, we did break above the line. We broke above that line and we back tested it. So A, B, C. And to be fair, theta has had way more success than XLM. I mean, if you look at theta from the bottom, of where it is to the top, it's gone up 570+%. Okay, if you look at XLM, the bottom is like nowhere to be found because it's taken so long. The bottom is currently, it's gone up only 170%, and it's only currently up 88% off the low, which could mean good things and bad things, right? It could mean XLM has more percentage potential to the upside. Theta, currently from where it is now off the low, is almost 400%. So if you had to buy a coin right now, would you buy one up 400% or 88%? You see what I mean? Now, if you're already holding it, then great, right? Now, I'm not talking utility. I'm not talking utility, not talking future. I'm talking, over a couple months, depending on what it looks like. So, to me, it looks like theta has more room to the downside than XLM at the moment. So let me get back to let's go to the 1 hour chart. Actually, let's go to the 4 hour. So it's the same thing as Bitcoin, really. Is this going to be an A, B, C? We have a 1. We're bull flagging out, and then we continue higher. Very well possible. Or is this going to turn into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to give us 3 ideas for the price of theta. So the first idea is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first idea is an A, B, C, build a base, go. So that would be the first, and that would be really, really healthy for the price of theta. And that would actually hopefully get us down to the bull market support band where we can test it. And that would be one of the most bullish things we can do, is something like that. So that's idea number 1 for theta. Idea number 2 for theta is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a 5-wave move, and then we have an A, B, C. So we have a flat. And now we're ready to go and pump to the upside. So we get up here, maybe correct a little bit more, and then continue breaking out. So A, B, C, and then we eventually go. So that's idea number 2. Okay. Idea number 3 is something a little similar. We have a rise, we have a crash, we go into a retracement, we come down for reaccumulation, we go sideways, and then we go, which would basically be a base. We're building a base, sort of a Wyckoff base, where we come down, we develop the spring in here, right? And then we go. So those are the 3 ideas we have with theta. And there is another idea, which is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we come down for 7. So this could be the B wave here. So an A, this is B, and now we're starting C. So it'd be a much more tighter correction to the downside, then go. So if we get another wave to the downside, then something like where we come back up, maybe we come up, we take out the high, we come back down, we roll down, then I would suspect this, and then this. So that would be all my ideas for theta. Now, which one am I leaning towards? Well, I really would like to wait till Monday to answer that. And I apologize that this hasn't been such a dedicated theta video. I've been trying to, because I've been getting questions on things, and I'm trying to explain it. Well, why do you like XRP? Well, why do you like XLM? Why not more theta? Well, it has to do with the chart. Nothing to do with utility, everything to do with where it is in the phases compared to how much percentage potential there is, right? But hopefully that'll answer some of the questions that everybody has for the price of theta. So yeah, just to recap one more time, idea number, in no particular order, A, B, C, flat, continue to go. Or we have an A, B, C, continue to go. Or we have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, continue to go, which is just another type of ABC. Or we have another wave to the downside before we continue to go. So those are 4 different ideas. It doesn't really matter which one it's going to be. It actually kind of does. if it's going to be this. If it's going to be that, then that would be more bullish, because it would get us to the bull market support band. It would also allow more of a correction to get more momentum back, right? On the flip side, it would take longer. It would be, not as fun. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm really liking how this is looking. It's looking really nice as a flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have an A, B, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a beautiful sort of flat pattern here, and we have this impulse off the bottom, and then we have this sort of three-way pullback. So let's look at that a little bit deeper. So you can see, and to be honest, all we have is 1, 2, 3. So it's corrective. So what we wanted to see is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but we didn't get it. Instead, we have 1, 2, 3, and then we have another 1, 2, 3, which probably means we're going to get another 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So we're just moving correctively. So it could shape into be a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a bigger 1, 2, 3. So a W, X, Y, right? A three-wave shape, which would then mean, right? Maybe we get, we have a shoulder, we have a head, and we have another shoulder, right? If we can kind of break that, it would still be a three-wave shape. But if we can hold above this support in here and find our footing, right, then we can potentially get out of here. If not, then we're going to go down for a C leg, A, B, C. So it really depends. It really depends what happens in here. And that's going to happen this coming week. So it shall be interesting. Either way, no matter what happens, we are in very good shape for the macro. So that'll do it for this video. As far as XLM goes, on the shorter time frame, I think it's looks a little better because of the way the shape of it, and because we're on the bull market support band. Theta is so far away from it, right? But so far we've only had 1, 2, 3. But we have an inverse head and shoulders here. So yeah, I want to see us get back up here and really figure out what happens when we get it here. If we make another low, then like what Theta did, or what Theta could potentially do, then it would be an A, B, C. We come up here, we flag out a little bit, then continue higher. So it would just make a bigger inverse head and shoulders, basically. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. I actually wanted to play the back end of this. It's only 2 minutes long. It's an update on XRP on the 10-week chart. Listen to this. Check out the XRP price on the 10-week chart. Looking at this contracting triangle, and look at the price. Look at the candles. They are very, very tight in really into this apex here, and it's really getting squeezed. So I think at any moment this thing can start to surprise some people. Now, there is the lawsuit, right? How does that fare? Some people think it might take longer. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think, with Bitcoin at an all-time high and it bullishly consolidating and correcting, when that thing gets going again, look out for XRP. So yeah, this contracting triangle, going through the wicks, right? Not counting the wicks, just going straight through the bodies. right? So yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks an awful lot like what this triangle was doing. Remember this? Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Same thing that's happening now. We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways into the apex. Do we get that blast off? Time will tell. Let's see what happens. Just taking a simple measurement of this bullish pennant from the bottom to the top, and then overlaying it on the top of the breakout thereabout, we can see a price target of about $9. So just about that $9 mark, and I've always said between that $8 and $13. So yeah, and you know, depending how you draw it too, if you want to say, okay, let's do it from wick to wick, the target gets a little bit bigger. So it's pretty subjective, but at the end of the day, what we really want to see is for this candle to break out. And you can see it's already above the downward resistance line. So we really want this thing right here to start getting some steam. And we got about 2 months before that candle closed, so we got plenty of time. So let's go. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everybody, and I will catch you guys on the next one. And if you would be so kind to hit that like button and drop a comment, and if you want to support the channel, there's always the YouTube tip jar. That's always very appreciative. And yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.